Hello! You're listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs, where I ask bands the abhorrent question of the jobs they've worked between making records and going on tour. Abhorrent because being in a band is fundamentally problematic when trying to hold down something that resembles a regular job. But still, people keep on coming on it. I invite them and they say yeah, for some reason that I still don't really understand. But today's episode is with a full band English teacher with Lewis, Lily, Nick and Douglas. Their EP Polly Awkward is out now. They're going to be playing Glastonbury this year. Brighton's Great Escape this weekend, if you're going to that. So lots going on for them. The EP, Polly Awkward, as I mentioned, is totally excellent. And I'm very glad to have them here on 101 Part-Time Jobs. And I'm very happy that you're listening. So good news all round. This is episode 147. Not sure how long I'll go on for, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Cheers for listening. This is English Teacher on 101 Part-Time Jobs. Go well. Cheers.
I haven't got the appetite. I'd rather eat alone.
Who was it who just said they'd quit their job?
I've just quit my job, Nick.
Welcome to Job AA.
It was a Kickstart job, so it's that Kickstart scheme that the government tried to do. So you had to be unemployed, you had to be on universal credit, and I was working remote working at home, and my job title was PR assistant. And I don't know what to say about it because, yeah, it was good. It was good.
You basically
I don't know who's listening. That's the problem.
I mean, you basically just played Xbox with him.
Don't say that.
Being a PR assistant, then, did you get the kind of other side of like having a PR as a band?
Not really.
No.
No, it wasn't much to do with PR. It was a lot to do with writing.
I never really fully understood you.
No, neither did I, and I don't think lovely people. But I've also done stuff like playing bass for a function band when my brother can't do it, like a bit of nepotism there.
You get paid quite well at those gigs, don't you?
Yeah, I miss it a lot, yeah. Mostly weddings, some corporate parties, but yeah, weddings basically. And the really long car rides, yeah.
I've always wondered, like, the wedding band, because obviously that's like a very personal thing for the folks involved, for the family involved. And then you kind of got the reprobate band kind of getting involved, causing trouble.
Exactly, and not learning the first dance as well as you could have. Yeah, I'm not really advertising myself very well here. Oh, well.
I think this is the first time I've had a full band, on one of these.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll feel it out as we go along. But, I started this podcast, as I said before, because it was always interesting seeing bands go away on tour and come back and kind of scratch around, trying to like figure out shit, because it's difficult because you're not necessarily getting paid enough touring to come back and then be able to relax for 2 months before the next tour.
Yeah.
So that ensues, a couple of jobs, a couple of like lying to employers, being like, yeah, I'm gonna be here forever.
Yeah.
Have any of you had sort of quite interesting situations and scenarios because of that?
I feel like I don't really want to say in case someone's listening.
I will, happily. I don't care. I feel like I've worked places for like maybe a couple of months at a time. When I moved back to Leeds to do the band, I got a job and I was like, I know I'm not going to stay in this job. But I was just like, yeah, this is the best job ever. I'm going to stay here. And then I quit it. But anyway, I just can't continue working, but I just decided to go self-employed, risked it all. Because it is hard to like try and ask employees for time off. Especially when you say, oh, I'm in a band, they're like, what?
You're just going to get laughed at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
grow up.
I got quite lucky with the job I'm in now. The one before was awful in terms of like work-life balance and trying to be able to like get stuff off for the music. But the one I'm in now, I've got like a 0-hour contract, so it's kind of, in any other scenario it would be a pretty terrible situation, but it actually worked quite well.
Yeah, I mean, 0-hour contracts are such like a contentious thing. Do you think living in Leeds has allowed you to be a bit more flexible and not, so stressed out about that stuff?
Absolutely. Like if I didn't live in Leeds, I mean, to like live all right in Leeds on minimum wage, you know, you could work in like 35 hours and you'd be sound. But like, say we lived somewhere more expensive, you know, realistically, like you can't really afford to work. You have to work more at those low-paying jobs. So like, just doing something like a band, and I mean, you know, people don't usually have free time to do music and stuff in those kinds of situations. So Leeds it definitely helps living somewhere cheaper because it gives you that kind of extra flexibility with stuff like that.
It's such a cultural thing, right? Like we all kind of have to pretend like we like our jobs, and we all have to pretend that we make as much money as we'd like.
About a year ago, I was working another Kickstart job that was proper hands-on. It was in a warehouse, and it didn't go well. And then I didn't have anything for months, and ET was in a weird stage of its existence where it changed a lot. And that was just a bit of a lonely time for me as well. I just felt like no prospects, and I didn't have any function gigs anymore. Universal Credit just kicked, and they were like, yeah, time to get a job. So I just found this remote work job, and I'd always wanted to work at home.
I feel like that loneliness is such a big part of it. You know, I think when you leave school or college, I feel like no one really tells you it's going to be fucking savage like that. The sort of lonely, rainy bus ride in the morning on a Tuesday morning, feeling like shite.
One thing we concentrated on at work was making a LinkedIn profile, and I just that's something, isn't it? LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, that is. Yeah.
What, like professional mode engage, and you talk to people differently, and it's just weird. But yeah, good for people who make it work.
I know, you don't really want to pretend to be someone else, right?
No.
It's no way to live.
No.
I think LinkedIn, I get sort of baked ads, not by my choice, but by the distributor of the podcast. And LinkedIn do a couple of adverts for this.
Ads for Acast or something?
Yeah, so I go through Acast, and the Acast sort of puts it in, you know, kind of automatically bakes them in, basically.
Right, yeah. I'd like a job there.
Sorry?
I'd like a job there.
At LinkedIn or Acast?
Acast.
Well, let's do a shout out. Let's do a call out.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you feeling now, Nick?
Not very professional or very employable, to be honest. After all that choice of words.
I mean, is that like a ubiquitous thing, being scared of being fired?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like a lot of other jobs that I've worked in the past, like shitty jobs, a lot of the motivation behind like putting effort in work, or like even going to them and like doing shifts, is literally just, I really can't get fired.
I did a Kickstart scheme as well. I worked at a record label for 6 months.
So cool.
A Leeds record label called Clue Records, which was lovely. It was the dream. I did that all of last year, so that was whilst the band was like on tour pretty much every week. and then I also had another band, and then I was also doing journalism at the same time. So last year I was just working pretty much constantly.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Did you find working at Clue Records could help you kind of think about English teacher and EADS? Yeah,
well, it's one of the reasons why I kind of like wanted the job is because if I wasn't doing a band, I'd be interested in putting out music. So yeah, I just like when the band first started, I did a lot of like the sort of admin stuff, and I enjoyed it. So it made sense to sort of learn a bit more about that, get more of an insight into that.
It's going to be better if you know more about what you're doing, right? You can be a bit smarter then. You can kind of, you know what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. Because like, I don't know, I feel like it's an industry where it's very easy for people to sort of take advantage or take you for a ride if you aren't clued up on those kind of things. So yeah, I don't know if it's helped us at all, but I feel like it has. Yeah. I feel like I can have better conversations with like the people in our team and like the people that we work with, because, you know, like the lingo and stuff like that isn't really a problem. But it was very hectic, and I wouldn't recommend doing that many things at once to anyone, but it was also like the best year ever. So
are you able to now strip that back a bit and being able to focus on on a few of those things.
Yeah, pretty much. So my contract with the label ended, but like I'm sort of, I don't know. They're like friends and stuff, so like I'm still like on good terms with them and stuff like that. I'm pretty much just doing the band now, but then with like some freelance stuff as well. So like I speak at like music conferences, and I still do bits of writing and like some like music advising as well. So like there's like a scheme called Rip It Up, which is run by Sound City in Liverpool, and it's like supporting and mentoring young musicians from diverse backgrounds. So like I do sort of a lot of like self-employed freelance music related things on the side of doing the band, which works a lot better than having like a salaried job and then also the band.
What a great thing to be involved in as well. I feel like in the UK there's not really much support for bands starting or bands like starting their career, if we could use the career word.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, you look at some European countries like Germany, where there'll be like state funded venues.
Yeah, it's I think especially since we started touring internationally as well, that it's very obvious that like outside of the UK that governments put a lot more funding into music, and inevitably that benefits musicians from diverse backgrounds because it's so expensive to be a musician. So yeah, but there's lots of schemes actually in the UK, and I've been really lucky to find out about them because of like the different kinds of jobs that I've done. It's just kind of getting the word out there, because it's like if people don't know that they're there, then they're not being taken advantage of. But
PRS Foundation.
Yeah, amazing. They're so good. I mean, they helped us. We wouldn't be doing this without them probably. Yeah. So yeah, but there's loads.
Which other ones come to mind that you know, listeners to this?
There's a company called Youth Music, and they're nationwide, and I've done some work with them before. They're amazing. They do like journalism and videography, but also like support musicians as well. And they actually fund a load of other music organisations, so that's really good. And then there's like in Leeds, it's really good in Leeds actually. There's like this thing called Launchpad. There's a company called Music Leeds, and they basically just support like hundreds of like musicians and like music organisations and put on events and stuff like that. And then Rip It Up as well with Sound City. They're like the three that I've worked with. Oh, and Come Play With Me as well, which is another label in Leeds, and they sort of put out bands on vinyl for like the first time, and we've done stuff with them before, and yeah, they're amazing.
Great that there's a company putting on pressing records.
Yeah, it's like a lot of local Leeds bands, their first vinyl, their first single, their first vinyl comes out through them. Yeah, it's amazing.
My friends that went to music college, I feel like they were sort of taught how to clip in an SM58 or something. And there wasn't much, I don't think there was much stimulation from it. But there must be some great music colleges around the country.
Yeah, I mean, we all met at music college, so shout out to Leeds Conservatoire. But definitely the social side of it is where I think the benefit comes from music college, because you're just surrounded by people that you could like work with and hang out.
And you're able to take it seriously. You're able to sort of cultivate that ambition without feeling like you have to do it behind closed doors or something. Yeah,
definitely. Like you can have that conversation like, oh yeah, I do actually want to be in a band and I do want to make it my job, and people aren't going to laugh at you because they also are trying to make it their job.
Totally. I think there's a lot of strength in that, right? Like self-belief in that.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very important part, I think, of trying to have a career in the arts, because you need to believe in yourself.
I finished uni in the summer of 2020 and then went straight into a caring job, because obviously it was during COVID and caring jobs were rife. And I did that for about a year, and that was during COVID. We weren't really doing much as a band. And so I could kind of put a lot of my brain power into this pretty stressful job. I was just looking after one guy in his home who had a spinal injury, and it was great for a while. But then in November, it got a bit too much and his condition worsened, so I decided to leave. And then I've been working with my dad ever since, who's a furniture maker. So I kind of go down, for the past couple of months, I've been going down to my parents in Bedfordshire for like 3 days a week and making furniture with him, which has been really fun. But I've been doing that less now since the band is doing more stuff. But it's kind of an option that's always there. So he's always got work, and he just works by himself. So whenever I need a bit of extra cash, or I just want to get away from all this band shite, then I can go and make a table or something. It's nice to kind of have something completely different, but that's also quite creative as well.
Yeah.
And quite hands-on, so you can just escape into it a bit.
What kind of furniture? Is it chairs? Is it upholstery?
It's very kind of bespoke. It's a bit of everything, really. Sort of he'll go to a customer's house and they'll have this maybe weird space that then they want a wardrobe in, or a desk, or literally anything, and then he'll make something bespoke for that space. And he does quite a lot of church work as well. So we'll go into a church and they'll want to get rid of some pews, but they'll want to make those pews into something else, like a little kitchen unit or something. And
nice. Recycling, upcycling.
Yeah, that's it. I'd like to make a guitar, because my dad, about 5 years ago, my dad made a guitar for a customer, and it actually looked really cool, just like the body of it, and it looked really cool.
Well, hey, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate this. And
cheers. Thanks.
Nice one. So there was Lewis, Lily, Nick and Douglas from the Yorkshire band English Teacher. By the sounds of it, if you're going to any gigs in the next few months, then you might get a chance of seeing them. Polly Awkward, the EP, is out now. See you next week. Cheers. Here's Sparrer. Sparrer.
I've been working all day for me mate on the side, running around like a blue-ass fly. I've been working all day for me mate. Every bleeding minute I've been on the go, up and down the ladder like a fiddler's elbow. I've been working all day for me mate.
This is a Mighty Moon Media podcast.